freshmen have been very dynamic. You're looking at one of them take the floor right now. And Kayla McPherson, who is the reigning Rookie of the Week. She had 22 points against Syracuse as well. Paulina Paris, their only true freshman on the roster, and Tiana Key as well. You can see, though, Coach, the 7 starts combined. So the experience, a huge key coming into this one. And we are now underway. Wake Forest in their away black and gold trim start off with the basketball.
Wake is in an interesting position. They are a defense-first team. They've been offensively challenged, and they have been trying to come up with different ways to get other players involved in their offense. We'll see if they can get that from the start today.
And also, as we mentioned off the top, Wake Forest 0-8 in conference play on the road, looking for their first win. A good time to do it. Their last game on the road. That's blocked as we're looking at the UNC starting 5. We talked about how that's been different from years past. Last year, they had 32 games, 32 start. The rotation didn't change.
Didn't change.
You're looking
once.
at the other side now, 7 different rotations. Looking at the Wake Forest starting 5 as well. We highlighted Joel Spear in the open, but Elise Williams, another player in the double-figure range, especially in ACC play, that's been able to step up. Coach Jebbia telling us that she needs more production from different players on the team, and Elise has been one of those players.
Yes, she was saying, you know, if one of them can get going today, we'll take a lot of pressure off the Spear.
Deja Kelly off the bounce. And Todd-Williams tries to seek some type of help on the baseline, and that's the turnover for North Carolina.
Well, that's right there is a good example of Wake Forest defense. They get out and pressure at the three-point line. They're great at defending the three-point line, making you put the ball on the floor and try to create in traffic. And that's a great example. Forced it into help on the baseline, bad pass.
That's the second turnover for Carolina. Both teams still trying to get on the board as we're about 1 minute and 30 seconds into gameplay. Spear left alone on the three-point line. She can drain that.
That's a great pass from Williams, too, to get her the ball.
Coming into this game as well, it was very important for Megan Jebbia to see the ball rotation and how they free each other up. We'll see how Carolina counters on the way back down as there's a foul at the top of the key as Deja Kelly was flipped.
There's a great baseline back cut, finds a double team inside. Now you've got Spear matched up on the wing, wide open.
Olivia Samiel picks up her first personal foul. Off the mid-range, and Deja Kelly right away. So 2 of the players that we highlighted in the open now with the first points for their team to open the play.
You're going to see both of them face hard hedges and traps on defense, too, because they're trying to get the ball out of their hands.
Tamira Hines doing all that she could on the glass. Couldn't convert for the second chance opportunity. And Alexandra Zelaya took a tumble underneath. Just good to see her up. As we mentioned, the amount of injuries that Carolina has been playing through in the last few games.
I think it's going to be a real interesting chess match today, too, about how you take the leading scorers out of the game, because I think, you know, both defenses are going to be loaded up to do that.
Foul in the bucket. Deja Kelly drains the 3. Assist from Kayla McPherson. Should be able to step up to the line, complete the 4-point play.
Their first 3 basically comes the same way that Wake Forest's first 3 comes. A baseline penetration, kick out, trying to take away the 3, didn't stop them momentum.
Deja Kelly now with all 6 of Carolina's points.
You could kind of sense, too, from talking to both players this morning that there's a little edge to this game as far as, like, you know, everybody in the, you know, around the conference is kind of comparing these 2 players. They want to have their own identity as a great player.
And Olivia Samiel picks up her first bucket of the ball game, draining a 3 on the other side. Ties it at 6. Deja Kelly working baseline. And again, Harrison with back-to-back fouls. But going back to what you said, Coach is very, very familiar, said the Texas area, of each other's style of play and going against one another in high school. So Of course you step on the hardwood in college play, and you're like, I know exactly who you are.
Oh, yeah. Played against each other, high school, AAU.
So with Harrison picking up the 2 fouls, that'll send her to the bench. Alexandria Scruggs comes into play, and this is a player that coaches compared her to the likes of a Charles Barkley, the way that she's able to rebound, and Deja Kelly, 8 early points.
I think Deja still has the end of the game the other night in her mind, too. You know, a tough loss the other night against their rival, NC State. She came out ready to play.
You mentioned it, NC State. They split the series. Lost in overtime, 77-66. She had 18 points in that outing.
They won't guard each other too much in this game either. That you know, Todd-Williams will be responsible for Spear most of the game unless they end up in switching situations.
How good can Wake Forest be when they get more people involved? You saw it there from Scruggs to Sumiel, who has her second field goal of the ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole key to their offensive success. They're so used to seeing teams loaded up on Spear. Other people have to step up.
And some nice high-low action. Zelaya puts Carolina back out front by 2. Right now, Carolina perfect from the field. 4 for 4.
There's the hard hedge again, trying to take the ball out of Spear's hand. Well, for North Carolina, getting the high-low is a big deal for their posts. You got one stepping up, now you got a front, the space behind it to get the layup. Great pass over the top.
Got a couple of substitutions for Carolina as Anya Poole and Alexandria Zelaya take a trip to the bench. Spear pick the ball up, 10 on the shot clock to work with. Finds some relief in Elise Williams, and she's able to draw the foul.
I think that's a key too. We were talking with Coach Gebbia about, you know, Spear and her team trying to be in attack mode. You know, getting to the free throw line, not only for Spear, but for these other players, putting Carolina on the heels in the bonus early gets them some extra impetus in the game, a little bit more momentum.
Wake Forest shooting 66% as a team from the free throw line as Elise Williams knocks down the first. For her, she's shooting around 76% from the charity stripe. And as we mentioned, one of those players that had 9 straight double-figure scoring games before they took on FSU. She had 9 points, but how about this? 7 steals. And how about a blown defensive assignment? It's underneath Destiny Adams, able to get an easy look at the rim.
Yeah, Wake likes to trap after free throws, and they usually try to get their trap right at half court, but they got a little extended that time.
Turning over, Wake Forest once again. It's their first one, their second one, excuse me. McPherson, step back, didn't like the look. Talked about the matchup between Deja Kelly and Jewel Spear. How about just overall between these two programs? The Deacs right now hold a 5-2 record over the Tar Heels in the past 4 seasons, even though Carolina comes into this one owning the series record 66-16. Alexandria Scruggs with a nice dive at the rim and gets it to go.
Great off-ball movement, and then Scruggs doing what she does, just kind of mucking the game up and getting a steal.
Gets a steal, and Elise Williams will take another trip to the free throw line. It's those type of plays that Megan Gebbia wants from her team. She said she wants scrappy. So far, her team's doing it. We're tied at 12.
All in on the crazies. From the no zone to the Oakland Zoo. Point guard, meet Castle Guard. The old foes and Tobacco Rose. Blue bloods and bad blood. And the Devils awaiting their due. All in on the ACC. In the conference that raises and the teams that shape us. We are all in for all time. Come for it all.
ACC Network Basketball is presented by Ally. Whatever you're saving for, we're all better off with an Ally. We're tied at 12 all with a little under 4 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Wake Forest awaiting a couple of free throws from Elise Williams. And coming into this one, Coach, one of the primary things we were looking at is who's going to be able to dictate the pace. North Carolina known to get up and down the floor. But that's a little different for Wake Forest, who said they want to keep the game in the 50s.
Yeah, they need to keep it a little bit lower. They don't have enough scoring night in and night out to play at that 70-point-a-game pace. They want the game in the 50s, low 60s, and it's noticeable on every opportunity. Carolina has tried to push the ball to the floor. Wake has walked it up unless they had a just all-out fast break situation, and I think that's going to be consistent for the game. Wake will run, but it'll only be off turnovers and long rebounds.
Williams gets the second of the pair. You can see some full court pressure from Wake Forest.
They try to get you in a trap right over half court, right in there.
They got numbers right away. McPherson. That ball was tipped by Williams. The pull-up from about 15 feet, no good for Spear. And a block call.
I'm not happy Wake Forest bench right there. It'll have to happen right in front of them.
There's a lot of contact between Tiana Key and Demira.
Here it is. Let's see if she gets herself there. She's late. That's a block.
So good call.
I'm really good from over here. I'm not as good when I'm out
on the other side
arguing. I have no bias in this one.
Got Bruce Morris, Safe Esho, as well as Ashley Good on the call for today. Nice take to the bucket. That one no good by Destiny Adams. A second chance opportunity. Adams finds it again, and different results.
And you see right here, here's Wake walking it up, trying to get himself a set offense.
And Destiny Adams tried to anticipate the steal there. Picks up the foul. That'll be her first.
That's not a good thing, though, right here for Carolina to already be at 14 fouls. Now Wake's shooting the rest of the quarter.
Spear tried to get it to Scruggs on the threading the needle pass underneath. They'll get it back with 13 left on the shot clock.
That's one of those plays I think she could have held on to it a little bit longer. Something would have opened up for her the way she was being played.
Well, here's Thursday night's women's basketball doubleheader. Haley Cavender leads Miami against Haley Van Lith in Louisville at 6 Eastern. Then Kara Lawson at number 9, Duke hosts Diamond Johnson and NC State. Be another great night of hoops right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. See the hard hedge at the top of the key by Scruggs, trying to get the ball out of Deja Kelly's hands. It finds Todd-Williams.
I know Deja Kelly didn't get the assist there, but she got the hockey assist on that one, making a great decision out of the double team.
Kennedy Todd-Williams, 10th in the ACC in scoring, 7th in free throw percentage. We can go down the line. She already has 44 threes in the season. Her first 2 seasons at UNC, she's already eclipsed that number. 5 on the shot clock. Alyssa Andrews sends it back out to Spear. Spear gets her second 3 of the ball game.
She's got 2 threes now on great passes from her teammates.
So 6 points for Spear. Alina Paris didn't like the look at the rim. 2 minutes to play. That's bounced off the foot. Alyssa Andrews. Deja Kelly with the rock. Mid-range, short. And that will go to Wake Forest.
Fans at that end didn't like it. That was a great pass situation for North Carolina, getting the wide open 3. And another great pass by Wake Forest to find Spear on the other end.
Carolina already has 5 assists on 7 made field goals to your point, Coach. So they're sharing the wealth a little bit.
Wake doing a lot of the same.
For Carolina, they have 6 players that have at least one game with 20 or more points. 7 players have led their team different times this season in scoring. Outside shot no good by Andrews. And that sailed out of bounds. You can see on the side, too, with Joel Spear just looking at everyone and saying, calm down, trying to control the tempo of this one.
Those are the plays right there. And Elise Williams is a smart player, but she just tried to make a great play that time instead of trying to just get a good one.
Approaching the 1-minute mark here in the first quarter. Todd-Williams looking for another 3. So 0 for 2 in this possession from the 3-point line for the Tar Heels. And they pick up a foul as well.
And they're going to walk 94 feet and shoot free throws.
Yep. So Destiny Adams picks up her 2nd personal foul. Anya Poole comes in for her. We have a sub waiting at the table, Nia Becker coming in on the next dead ball. As Demira Hines step up to the free throw line, who has struggled from the charity stripe this season, 18 for 46, about 39%. For 2-year point. A little less than a minute to play. You start looking at the depth.
Nope, exactly.
For Carolina.
Exactly. It's interesting with them knowing that she's not a great free throw shooter, that they don't have more people on the line trying to rebound it.
Paulina Paris at the point. That puts Deja Kelly at the 2.
Well, after a great start, she's had 3 or 4 misses in a row and had pretty good looks.
She's missed now 3 shots from the field after the hot start. As you mentioned, she had 8 of Carolina's first 10 points. Alexandra Scruggs turns down the 3. And Jewel Spear at the top of the key with a little bit of a reset. She has the assignment on the other side with Kennedy Todd-Williams. And a lot of miscommunication at the top of the key. That's going to be another turnover for Wake Forest. That's their 4th of the ball game. But you have to credit Carolina for what they were able to do getting the ball out of Jewel's hands.
Great job of getting it out of her hands, making somebody else have to try to make a play with the shot clock running out. The saving grace for those kind of turnovers is that, you know, it's a dead ball turnover. You can set your defense. The ones that kill you are the ones that end up in direct layups at the other end.
Carolina with potentially the last possession of this first quarter. Deja Kelly with the rock in her hand. That just rolls right off the front rim. And Anya Poole couldn't finish at the rim. We've got a good one as expected to start Wake Forest with a 3-point lead after the first frame.
I'm a screen-addicted tween, and if I'm not posting on
social media,
I don't.
Including former player Camille Little, and Carolina also wearing special shooting shirts during warm-ups with the quote of Dr. King. But more importantly, Coach, I just think it's so important that we understand how it's not just these shut up and dribble as we've seen or heard in the past. These athletes are really taking it into their own and saying we are definitely going to be the change that we want to see in our communities.
Yes, very much so. And I think it's been very interesting, you know, my experience in the WNBA and in college, that the women athletes have been among the leaders in all of social justice issues. And I think that it's good for them to learn their own history, but also to create a new history. And I think that's been huge. And it's been fun for me to be around very aware players.
I love the word they said, legacy. And seeing Ivory Lott as well as that last second shot, no good for Wake Forest. Kennedy Todd-Williams comes down with the basketball, surveying the lane a little bit and finds Deja Kelly. Pulls up, gets the bucket back-to-back. Field goals for Carolina as they now have the 2-point lead after the tie 3 ball from Adams.
Kelly is really, really good going from right to left as she did to that pull-up.
Paris gets the bucket.
Timeout,
9
quick
straight
timeout.
points
Yep.
from Carolina. And that leads to a timeout for the Wake Forest Deacs trying to fine-tune some things.
Here's the steal, overplay, pressure, easy basket.
Well, the ACC's Committee for Racial and Social Justice, in conjunction with its member institutions, have identified February 18th through the 26th as ACC Unity Week. You can see Carolina there with the locked arms, as well as highlighting their favorite quote on their warm-up jerseys. Wake Forest doing the same as we enter this ball game. And how about the hot start from the Tar Heels in the second quarter after being down 3 after the first frame? Come out on a 7-0 run.
Came out with a little bit more pressure defensively, a little bit more in passing lanes. And they forced long threes in several possessions.
So looking to the ball, you mentioned the sense of urgency.
Well, when you've lost 3 out of your last 4 and you've got injuries and everything else happening to you, there's no excuse for not having great urgency.
Coming into this one, too. And right on the line is Anya Poole. Is able to knock that one down. She now is on the board with 2. And got some contact underneath.
Got a hold on the cut. Paris holding the cutter.
You mentioned the sense of urgency from Carolina. We saw it right now, then pick that 5th seed in the bracketology from Charlie Creamus. That's no good for Wake Forest, but also they're seeding in ACC play at the 7th spot and really trying to work their way up with only 2 games left on their schedule after this one.
And they're tough games.
Between Virginia Tech, then they have Duke as well to close out the season.
Well, 2 weeks ago, before all the injury bug really hit, or 2.5 weeks ago, they were probably a lock for a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament on a home court. Now they got to really play to get to that spot.
Sense of urgency indeed, as Kennedy Todd-Williams in the right place at the right time.
The look that Megan Jebby has on her face is a look I'm familiar with. When you have a call, but you're sure that it's probably not that big a deal on the court.
Megan W. with in her first year at Wake Forest, being a 2-time Patriot League Coach of the Year, an American, and a friend of yours as well. You've been able to see and watch her build programs.
Yes.
Already with 5 wins in the season, 1 more than they had last year in conference play.
Carolina starting to get extra possessions. Here's another one.
So that would have been the 3rd O board for Carolina. Demira Hines picks up her second foul.
Wake Forest is really, you know, as we said, in a low possession game, you can't give Carolina all these extra possessions.
Have 5 O boards to this point. Adams sends it to Key. Another foul on the play, and what we saw in the last quarter, the bit flipped.
Yeah,
looking at fouls.
Yep, I mean, Carolina's just put their head down and driven at their post, and now you got fouls right away. The other thing, McPherson just checked back in the game. We talked about in the open that, you know, Deja Kelly had become the point guard for a lot of these possessions to start this quarter. Done a good job of directing their offense.
Team the aggression get into the bucket. Deja Kelly continues in it. Another O-board almost for Carolina. They have numbers. Spear taking it all the way to the bucket. A much-needed one for Wake Forest as that's their first points of the second quarter.
She looks at the official like, okay, you called me for a charge. Don't let somebody slap me on the hand then when I go to the basket.
She now has 8 points. Their leading scorer to this point on the other side. Deja Kelly with 10. Now has the rock going at Spear at the top of the key. Pierce picked up her dribble. 5 left on the shot clock. Kelly backs up, pulls up, and drains it.
She's a right-handed player that loves to play on the left side of the floor and use her left hand to create step-back shots.
5th in the ACC in scoring and showing why. Already with 12 points, shooting 50% from the field. Elise Williams launches it a little too hard. Pierce behind the back, and that's poked away. Olivia Samiel almost came up with the steal. And a lot of contact at the top of the key. Melissa Andrews picks up the foul. And that'll be her first.
Well, for Wake, just getting a breakout off good defensive play at the other end might have been an and one, gets that the breathing in. But here we're talking about Kelly. She is a right-handed shooter, but she loves going left. She creates space. A lot of great shooters who are right-handed love going left. They feel like they can get squared up for their shot quicker.
And that one comes over here to us.
We're ready. Here. We're ready.
I know you got a lot left in the tank, Coach. I was ready for you to go through warm-ups with them.
No, I don't have that.
So another substitution for Wake Forest. As Nia Becker comes in for Jewel Spear, getting her first rest of the ball game.
They don't have the luxury of giving her much rest either.
As well as Wake Forest, as you mentioned, have fouled a lot in this quarter. That one is going to send Carolina to the free throw line, and that's with 5 minutes left to play in this half.
That's a lot of early fouls that Wake can't afford. Not only can afford from the bonus situation, but they aren't deep enough to go that deep in their bench.
ACC Unity Week continues Wednesday with our men's basketball matchup between Clemson. Joe Lenardi has on the bubble with work to do hosting Syracuse. We have a lot of work to do. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. Carolina with a 6-point lead have really shown up in the second quarter. Another big bucket. That one coming from Olivia Samiel. She now has 8 points. Brandon coming off the bench against Louisville. One of those bench players that brings the energy for Megan Debbia. Demanding the ball on the block, Nia Becker. Maybe we get a nice look over to Alexandria Scruggs, who will step up to the free throw line for the first time in this ball game.
That was a nice pass behind the back of the defense. Beat the rotation defensive player by a step.
Yeah, we already had it.
And Spear back in after a very quick rest.
Just need a little water, a couple electrolytes, back
breath.
in there. Kayla McPherson picks up her second personal. As this one sends Scruggs to the free throw line. Alexandria Scruggs, one of those players, as we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, coming off of the bench. In the first 2 ball games, back-to-back games with double figures. In the last 3 games, he's had 10, 8, and 0. So far, we've seen a more aggressive look from her as she couldn't connect on the free throws.
That's been a huge problem for Wake all year, is getting to the line and then not making it.
Turnover going back to Wake Forest, though. McPherson just lost her footing. That's the 5th turnover for the Tar Heels. And you mentioned how Wake Forest could do better in the free throw department, shooting 66% from the charity stripe.
I think young players need to understand that you really can help or hurt your team big time if you're not a great free throw shooter. And I think instinctively sometimes if you're not a great free throw shooter, you start avoiding contact too and putting yourself in situations where you can get to the line.
A little bit more hesitant on the play as well. McPherson checks out of the ball game. Deja Kelly checks in. You see her bring the ball up the floor. Usually you see Paulina Paris at the one spot.
Nice pass.
Once again, left all alone underneath Adams. One has 9.
The Wake is trying so hard to use their post discourage early guard catches that they're getting caught above their own man, and now they're getting passes over the top of them for layups.
So more of that communication that Coach Jebbia was saying she needs to see more from her leadership on the squad. Bill Spear, nice pump fake, a little too hard on the shot. Becker up and under and gets it to go.
I think both teams are going to be, both coaches are going to be having conversations at halftime about lack of blocking out on the defensive boards.
First shot attempt and first bucket of the ball game for Becker as that misses the mark. Alexandria Zelaya. Scruggs working her way all the way to the rim and gets it to go. Scruggs now with 4 points. She's been the energy boost off the bench.
She's done a great job at both ends of the court. She's got steals, deflections, offensive boards. And with the bad start that Wake had to the quarter, here we are. We're back in a 1-point game.
How about that? Lise Williams walking the ball up the floor, and she had a couple of numbers, but looked at everyone and said, slow this one down. Spear at the top of the key. That's number 3.
Great patience by Becker at the top to wait for her to come open. They gave Becker a wide open 3. She passed it up to get a shot for Spear.
And gives Wake Forest the lead once again, 32-30. 7 times this game has already been tied. 4 lead changes. It's been raining threes here at Carmichael.
Bad communication by Wake on that. They were supposed to switch it, and it was a soft switch. Can't do that against three-point shooters.
Less than 2 minutes ago, Carolina has the 1-point lead. Kennedy Todd-Williams now with 6. And that sails out of bounds. Another turnover. That's the 7th for the Deeks as we have more substitutions. Anya Poole comes in for Zelaya, as well as Kayla McPherson.
I think most of the turnovers on both teams have been from impatience. You know, not just trying to make a great play, but we're not waiting that one more swing to get a better shot.
.90 seconds left in this ball game. In the first half. Nice up and under. Comes right off the bench.
Nice
with the power
fake.
punch.
Nice pump fake to get the defender up.
She now has 4 great footwork that we just saw from Anya Poole. She's averaging about 6 points per game, halfway there. Elise Williams, hesitation.
That's a great backdoor.
Deja Kelly working the baseline, and what can't she do?
Again, going left was smart enough to get up in the air before somebody could draw a charge on her.
14 points for Deja Kelly, very efficient from the field so far, 6 for 11. Also knocked down a tray already as we're about 30 seconds from calling the first half. Alexandria Scruggs. So she'll step up to the free throw line once again, and this is bad news for Carolina as Kayla McPherson picks up her 3rd.
Yeah, McPherson has been that great line of addition. Just good position. I mean, Scruggs has size on McPherson. Spear recognized it.
Knocks down the first one. So far, Wake Forest shooting 56% from the free throw line.
Still Banghart gambling a little bit here, leaving McPherson in, figuring it's the last possession on offense.
And has her off the ball as well. Gotta assume this Deja time, who loves the rock in her hands at the close of the half. Asks for the screen at the top of the key, pulls up, and gets the bucket!
Trying to see if the defender was in the circle or not. It looked like Scruggs was there in time, but she may have been in the circle.
16 points now for Deja.
Crossover against the trap. Can't tell from where her feet were on that one.
I think what's also really,
she's still moving too. Scruggs is moving sideways.
What's also impressive, Coach, and hopefully you like this one as well, Anya Poole holding that screen so she can get a nice look.
A lot of players get called for moving screens on that. She did a good job, as you said, holding it. We got 5 seconds to see if they can get a shot.
Elise Williams with 3 left. Pulls up. And can't knock down the 3. As we've been tied 7 times, 5 lead changes, but Wake Forest right down now, 4 to Carolina. We'll send it to Drew Carter, another Carolina great, Ivory Latta, to break down the first half. Stands out as UNC has 20 points in the paint over Wake's 10.
And some of it's come from offensive boards, and some of it has come from just driving and putting your head down and getting in the paint.
Carolina has
zone now to start the half.
Carolina has 5-0 boards. As you mentioned, starting in the zone against Wake. Wake shooting 50% from the field. They have 10 assists on 12 made field goals coming into this one as well. That one is intercepted by Jewel Spear. And the first possession for the Tar Heels ends up in a turnover.
And we see Harrison back in the game for Wake Forest. She got 2 early fouls and played less than 3 minutes and never came back, trying to save that foul because the game stayed close.
New role at point guard this year. And we have some contact at the top of the key with Kayla McPherson, the first foul of the second half, and that's her 4th.
Yeah, that's a tough foul for North Carolina. Here she is trying to guard Spear going around, has a hold of her arm. Spear kind of shoves her off at the end, but I think McPherson probably had the first contact.
So first year with Paulina Paris coming into the ball game for Kayla McPherson, visibly frustrated on the bench, looking for a little bit of instruction.
You know, they've gotten used to her being such an energy person for them the last few games. She's going to probably sit a long time now.
After missing 808 days without playing in a ball game, came back, was very impressive. Got ACC Rookie of the Week as well, as that's blocked. And another turnover for Wake Forest.
This is a little bit right there where you kind of feel the pressure that's on Jewel Spear to create a lot of things. You know, the shot clock's running down. She has to go get them a play.
Elise Williams guarding Deja Kelly to start. Anya Poole. She had 4 points in the first half and continues to build on it.
That's a good, strong move right there. And you had a situation on that play too. Hines with 3 fouls had to back off too and let her have a shot at the rim.
So Demira Hines tried to tip that away. It looked like it went off the leg of Kennedy Todd-Williams, so Wake Forest will get it back underneath. Talked about the foul trouble coming into second half. McPherson on the bench right now with 4. The only other player on the other side for Wake Forest in foul trouble is Demira Hines with 3.
As I was saying, she's having to be very careful, but it's hard to be a good defensive post player with foul trouble and try to stay aggressive.
At the top of the key, Samiel can knock it down. Wake Forest looking for their first points of the second half. And the nice Euro step by Todd-Williams. That gives her 8.
I think Spear had an opportunity right there to draw a charge, but might have felt she was a little bit late.
The high-low look no good. Looked like there was some contact. No call on the play. Deja Kelly. And that's tipped out of bounds by Hines. You mentioned that post defense that you get from her, as there's a substitution for Wake Forest.
Well, here's the penetration right here. Nice Euro step. Goes around the two defenders, uses the glass.
Alexander Scruggs comes into the ball game. Once again, the high-low. That one coming from Todd-Williams to Anya Poole, and this is the biggest lead for Carolina at 10.
North Carolina going right at Hines inside with her foul problem.
So a lot like the second quarter, Carolina right now on fire. They have the first 6 here in the third.
We are all in on the moment.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it, because now they have 26.
Yeah, they've come right out and attacked. They've gone at Hines because she has 3 fouls right away. High-low, seal in the lane. Hines has to back off to keep from being in foul trouble. They need her in the game, but it's hard defending when you're in that position. You just caught dead behind. Now they have her out, I think, just to have a different look defensively. Becker to replace her.
As you mentioned, just subbed out of the ball game. So Hines has struggled on the day with foul trouble right now. She's on the bench with 3. One of those players that brings so much on the interior as far as defense. Nia Becker now going to have to carry the load in that department. She's double teamed on the block, tries to work her way out of it. A little too hard. And sends that to the Wake Forest bench. Carolina will get it back.
I think it's a good strategy sometimes. You know, somebody comes in like Becker just did and plays in the post, is not a go-to player down there, and to go ahead and double team that person to see if they can make a play out of the double team.
We're almost halfway through the third quarter, and Wake Forest still looking for their first points of this frame. 0 for 6 that they've started. Carolina on the other side. Outside of that one was perfect in this third quarter, 3 for 3.
They got another good look just by getting penetration into the paint.
Elise Williams, that's poked from behind by Paris.
Great pass there.
Tied up underneath Paris and Sumiel. And that will stay with the Tar Heels.
Sumiel paid for physicality on that play.
Kennedy tried to go between the legs. That was poked away. Elise Williams finds Spear. Spear has been quiet in this third quarter. She ended the first half with 11 points, 4 for 9 from the field. Wake Forest in a bit of a scoring drought in the third quarter. Less than 10 on the shot clock. Spear. Nice kiss off the glass.
That's a really nice play because Paris tried to deny her almost like a box of 1. The defense was loaded up and she just split everybody.
Spear with 13. That's blocked by Sumiel.
Well, you have Spear setting up on the wing. The catch has been forced out beyond the 3. She just puts her heads down and goes by 3 defenders.
On the other end, Sumiel, 5th in the ACC in blocks, picks one up there. They're doing her part. 3 blocks versus FSU, too. Right at the top 10 in program in blocks, so HW happy with what she gets on the back line there. Elise Williams.
I would say both Spear and Deja Kelly have done a great job of finding teammates.
So once again, that's back-to-back blocks by Sumiel.
You know, sometimes fool you once, all right, your fault. Fool you twice, nah.
Just completely denies that. Tar Heels get it back. Deja Kelly so crafty with working the baseline. Gets it back on the wing. and drains it.
She's having a terrific game.
20 points now for Deja Kelly. Her career high 32 points. That was against Syracuse, who already mentioned coming into this one. 5th in the ACC in scoring. She looks to build on it.
What I've been impressed with Kelly, too, is that she's played as the game has dictated she should play. When she should pass, she's passed. When she should shoot, she shoots. She's helping on the boards. She's starting the break.
So that one took a while for us to see what the officials were going to call. That'll be a turnover, so they'll step aside. We'll do the same. Carolina with the advantage, 49-38. Official March Madness, so we'll dive into what it looks like for the Tar Heels and their bracketology by Charlie Cream, as we mentioned coming into this game. ACC predicted to have 8 teams in. You can see Syracuse, one of those bubble teams. They won today. Syracuse over Miami, 77-68. As far as Carolina right now, sitting at that 5th seed, 7th in the ACC as far as standings. But they're trying to work their way back into it as far as the hosting seed as well.
Yeah, they have a tough schedule with Virginia Tech and Duke, but if they can win out, they'd probably be back as a 4 seed and host at the start of the NCAA tournament.
And Charlie Cream, who does not sleep. I am now very aware of that one.
Since you're getting emails in the middle of the night.
Has UCLA as well as UNC as the next 2 up as far as those 4 seeds. Carolina just wanting to get back on track after dropping 3 of their last 4 games, coming off of a loss against NC State in overtime. Lost by 11. And as far as Wake Forest, trying to pick up their first win on the road in ACC play. Alexandria Scruggs misses from distance. Carolina with a win here today. Not only keep those building of points on the standings, but also pick up their 10th win in ACC play.
Yep, that's the bounce back they need. It's been a tough couple weeks for them.
22 points for Deja Kelly. This is her 9th 20-point game this season. And Samiel has been very efficient today.
I thought Samiel's been very good. There's a good double team on the post right there.
Samiel in double figures now with Jewel Spears. She has 10. All right, well, Friday night, we'll have our featured women's lacrosse matchup between #1 North Carolina and Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern right here on the AC Network and the ESPN app.
Well, Wake Forest baited Poole into an offensive foul, trying to get out of the double team. Again, another surprise double team that players aren't expecting. Causes havoc sometimes.
And that's her 2nd foul of the ball game. 6 points for Wake Forest here in the 3rd quarter. About 2:30 left in this 3rd frame, and that goes out of bounds. Tar Heels knocked that one out. Elise Williams has had somewhat of a quiet day. 6 points for her. She's had 4 of her points come from the free throw line. We have a jump ball. This is going to stay with Wake Forest.
They've only got 5 to shoot right now. Good defense right there by North Carolina, recognizing the ball came into the corner, and with the shot clock running, they could double it and make it tough to get it out of there.
Veteran play for Andrews just to get everyone set up before she steps out of bounds. Only 5 to work with for the Beaks. Avoids the violation. Spear at the top of the key, only 1 left. Samiel gets it up and gets it to go.
I think they're going to review it, but it was close. She's got a little X on that spot on the left wing, I think, because I think all of her threes have come from the same spot.
Megan Jebia definitely loving it. Now a 2-possession ball game after a slow start in the 3rd quarter. They have numbers. Alyssa Andrews tries to send it into Scruggs. 3 players around her in the opposing team. That's sent up. Paulina Paris. You bet.
another great pass from Deja Kelly.
Paulina Paris now with 5 points. Knocks down her first triple. Spear.
Wow.
We've seen a little bit of everything. We were talking about the pace. Going back and forth as far as the 3-ball for both sides. It's been fun.
Well, here's another push it up the floor by Deja Kelly, finding Paris, who just runs straight to the 3-point line. It's a great opportunity in transition to get a bucket before the defense is set.
Andrews picked up her 3rd foul. Less than 90 here in the 3rd quarter. Nice take off the bounce. No good for Destiny Adams.
Adams has had kind of a sneaky good game today. We don't even, notice some of it, and all of a sudden, she's 5-6 points above her normal scoring average.
Averages 4 points per game, right now sitting at 9, as you mentioned, just very efficient, shooting a little bit over 50% from the field today. Kelly has a rock with less than 10 on the shot clock. Becker tried to poke it away, instead picks up the foul.
This is kind of what you and I were talking about at halftime here, is that, you have Kelly in her favorite spot on the floor, just off the left elbow. And where do you want to send her? And where do you want the help to come from? Because they do put a shooter in the strong side corner. And so the help has got to come from somewhere else. And she wants to go left there.
Have a reset of the shot clock. Less than a minute to play in the 3rd. Deja Kelly, nice hedge at the top of the key by Becker. Kelly with the run, he gets it to go.
That's just a big time play. They did the initial job defensively. They took away where she wanted to go. They made her go back into traffic, and she still scored.
24 points for Deja Kelly, as there's a foul at the top of the key.
Here's got a great hedge by Becker here. Now she's going to come back, and everybody has a bad angle.
We've seen Deja Kelly do a little bit of everything in this ball game. You talked about the sense of urgency that they needed, and their leader stepping up. Jewel Spear, Samil, a little off the mark.
Step to her left.
That was a bit to the right. 20 seconds left in the 3rd.
I think we'll see another high ball screen here for Kelly to see if she uses it or rejects it.
Todd-Williams couldn't get it to go off the fadeaway, so that will do it for the 3rd quarter. We saw a little bit of everything. It's been a very entertaining one. We have one more to go. Carolina 56-45. January against Miami, but just one of those balanced players that you want to see in the leadership department of your squad that can just get it done at every level. So the 4th quarter underway. Carolina with the 14-point lead. Kennedy Todd-Williams with the circus shot gets it to go off the glass.
Good patience. She waited for the defensive player to kind of get off kilter and step by her.
2 players now in double figures for Carolina. 10 points for Kennedy Todd-Williams. Tar Heels shooting 54% from the field and have their biggest lead of the ball game.
Well, Spear has got Williams a bunch of open looks, and the ball just they look like they're going in. They've gone in and out. Just hasn't had any shooting luck.
Still working the baseline. Deja Kelly had no relief.
She thought she got fouled and turned to the official. I got pushed.
Nice attempt turnover for the Tar Heels, but going back to Wake Forest in that 3rd frame, they only had 6 points.
Yeah, it's think they had that other 3 taken away from them at the quarter against the shot clock.
So Elise Williams now with 8 points. Nia Becker, hands up. Thought she had a good job on the hedge instead of foul call.
I'm laughing at Brittany Spear, or excuse me, Jewel Spear. Bad. I don't know why I said that, but anyway.
If she was, where?
Yeah, no. You know, asking for the WNBA, NBA flop on that play. The head snapped the whole bit.
Todd-Williams guarded by Elise Williams. Strong, that's knocked out of bounds. Wake Forest will get it back.
O'Neal asking for a foul too over the back.
Everyone's asking for fouls.
I think you got to get used to this as, you know, part of going through conference play and having rebounding tussles and being physical. That gets you ready for the tournament. You can't sit there and wait for calls. You've got to play through all of that.
I think that was a conversation Coach Benhart was having with us as well. Playing through. Nia Becker on the baseline. And a lot of contact there. So Tiani Key picks up her first personal foul. Second team foul. So as we mentioned at the top of the ball game as well, Wake Forest in that 10th spot, looking for their opportunity to climb into that 9th spot over Syracuse. They have to win out here. They have 2 left. Pick up their first road win, where it's been a struggle on the road as another good look underneath for Carolina.
Well, this has kind of been the story of Wake's season on the road. Is get out, get some points early, and then it just wears down as the game goes along. They don't have enough people to go find scoring to get a balance.
Tanya Poole comes in for Key. Talk about the balance as well. At this point for Wake Forest, what do they need at this point? You can see what they look like home and away.
They need next year's recruits to show up is what they need, partly. And I'm being, you know, serious in the sense that, you know, you come in as a coach to a new program, you inherit, you know, a team, you have players that are going to fit what you do. And they don't have a lot of scores. They have a bunch of good defenders, they're good athletes, but, you know, at the end of the day, you still got to put the ball through the basket. And they won't be what they're going to be for another year or two as they add additional good players that can put the ball in the basket.
Katie Debo also out of the rotation for Wake Forest. She had season-ending surgery as well. Her back. And as far as injuries, Paulina Paris leaks out and gets the bucket. But you talked about Wake Forest, 0 transfers, 1 freshman. Megan Jebbia just wanting to get her people in and assessing this first season at Wake Forest. So Carolina building on their lead. It's sitting at 20 at this point with 6:25 left in the ballgame.
Running a food pantry can be a lot of fun.
See there? Louisville taking care of business over Boston College. How about the win Syracuse had over Miami?
Huge win for them.
And you see Duke with a 4-point edge over Virginia. Notre Dame, almost a 40-point ball game over Pitt.
Virginia Tech, although it's not over, being their usual really good self at home right now.
Poole picks up her 3rd personal foul.
I mean, kind of what we talked about at the start, you know, for Wake Forest. Scoring is tough. Spear has seen every kind of defense today as far as double teams, face guards. She's done a good job of trying to find teammates, but teammates need to make shots. And you know, because of the defense that's been put on her, she's been held to 2 points this half, and it's a big difference.
I think Coach is going back to the conversation we had with her before the game, too. She talked about how her role had to change. Last year's ACC scoring champion, as Elise Williams gets the ball back at the top of the key. She said, I have to do things a little bit differently. And a foul on the play. That's actually going to go against Deja Kelly.
I think a lot of times as an offensive player, you're as good as those around you too. Those that can free you up, but the ones that can make open shots when you find them, so the defenses don't extend as much on you. And we've seen, I mean, we're seeing, you know, every time she moves, there's somebody right there.
She launches for the three.
That's the best look she's had in a long time.
And that's a stretched hand interface.
Yep.
So now has 16, but even talking about how she's had to score away from the basketball, getting screens called for her, and she talked about how she looks to Kelsey Plum and Steph Curry and what she needs to be in order to free herself up a little bit more in the offensive game. Elise Williams is able to draw some contact.
Well, Spears comes off this screen on the weak side, and Williams finds her. There's a stagger for her, but that's a well-contested shot. She just makes a very tough three. Probably glad to see one go in, too. It's been a long time to even get a shot off.
Adams picks up her third person. She gets checked out of the ball game, and now that'll bring in Alexandria Zelaya as Elise Williams is at the free throw line. She has 4 points, perfect from the start so far, and continues to knock it down. Right, will help people in areas affected by the Turkey earthquake, including Turkey and Syria. Please visit redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond. So a missed free throw by Williams. Namira Hines able to clean it up, and so she'll get another opportunity at the free throw line.
See if she can knock a couple down here. Wake Forest, this is kind of like their moment right here. You want to make one last run. This is the time right now. You've got a couple minutes. They've gotten 2 good possessions in a row. Let's see if they can get another stop on the defensive end, too.
Namira Hines, who has struggled through foul trouble in this ball game, looking for her first points, misses the first of the pair. Coming off of a double-figure scoring game against Georgia Tech. Held scoreless in this one. Drains it.
That was a nice-looking free throw.
You mentioned Wake Forest putting themselves in positions to be aggressive in this ball game, but have struggled a bit from the charity stripe right now, shooting under 60%, 8 for 14. Carolina on the other side been pretty solid, had the 23-point second quarter as Kayla McPherson checking in the ball game has been on the bench for quite some time with 4 personal fouls. She'll get Paulina Paris a blow. Less than 5, 7 on the shot clock. Beautifully drawn up play. Can't go down for Todd-Williams. Elise Williams, crossover. Tried to go underneath. And no contact.
Oh, and a technical foul. That's just a frustration one for Williams. You know, she's had a tough night shooting. She thought she got fouled on the layup attempt. Yeah, she might have got fouled. She was trying to invent a shot, but she might have got fouled. And now she gets called for it the other way.
Had some words with official Safe Esho.
That's a pretty quick one right there. I don't know what she said, but...
Well, it was enough to assess the tech. We'll say that.
It doesn't matter now.
As there's a substitution now for Wake Forest as well. We'll say Andrews will come in. Right now they're looking at something at the scores table. That's why we have the stoppage of play.
I don't know if they thought there was something in the scrum on the floor. Nothing else? Oh, okay. There was nothing else. I'm not even sure if they were looking at just to see if there was anything on the floor in the scramble for the ball.
So Todd-Williams, who is actually one of the better free throw shooters available at this point for Carolina, misses both.
Is there such a thing as a good technical?
I think it would be that situation there.
Yeah.
That it doesn't hurt you, but Elise Williams, I think the one thing that does hurt Wake Forest is that now she's on the bench just to cool off for quite some time. Elisa Andrews now in the ball game for Wake Forest. Mira Hines tried to run through that one. You can tell the speed that she has as well in that post spot.
And if you're Wake, you've been hearing from, you know, us and media and everybody else about, you know, you haven't won an ACC road game. So you're feeling that pressure. So it heightens the emotions in a game like this, too. This is your last chance of the season to get a win.
Zelaya.
Another Kelly assist.
13 in the ACC in assists. Zelaya knocking it down. She now has 6. Rhodes trying to stay in bounds at the cross-court pass, but instead sends it over. That's the 14th turnover for Wake Forest. One under their average on the season. Deja working, getting to the rim. They'll call that on the floor. So Samuel picks up a foul. Slow to get up.
She got hit square in the chest.
So Tar Heels have dealt with their fair share of injuries, but as far as Wake Forest, as you mentioned, just trying to fine-tune some things as they head into the ACC tournament, the last couple games that they have. Not too thrilled about seeing Olivia Samuel, who was slow to get up at this point. She has helped to her feet by the trainer, Megan Jubbia. Comes to check on her. Just holds her chest for quite some time, and we'll see if she'll be able to come back.
Try to get your win back, too. Well, this is attacking the basket. I don't know if she got a forearm from Kelly or...
It's like almost a late reaction, that elbow that went straight into her rib. Deja Kelly got the ball. Get it to go. 66-49. Tar Heels. And once again, holding Wake Forest to single digits in a quarter after they held them to 6 points in the third. Jewel Spear drains it. Jewel Spear now has 5 threes on the day.
She had to work hard to get that one, to shed a couple defenders.
Pearson with a strong take right at Demira Hines. That's going to be her 4th personal.
Now it's becoming a little bit of a parade to the free throw line.
She looks at Coach Debbie and says, "It's okay, Coach. I can handle it." As Kayla McPherson steps up to the free throw line. Can't drain the first pair. Going back to Megan Jubbia as well, in her first season at Wake. I know that you guys have the relationship. It was very interesting. Even the quote that you had on her, you said, "You've gotten to know and observe her great leadership ability. And a sign of a great coach is the ability to adapt to her team in style while compete."
Yeah, you know, when you make that step up from a mid-Division I to Power 5 conference. You're having to, you're playing, you're coaching a little bit different level of player. You're recruiting a different kind of player. You walk into a situation that, there's a reason the job is open. They haven't succeeded at the level that they wanted to. And it's going to take a year or two of recruiting just to set a foundation for how you want to play and how you go about things. But I've been impressed that her players have bought into her vision as best they can with the, the various diverse talents that you have or you don't have. And I know that she's happy about the recruiting class they have coming, and it takes a while to build it.
Now 4 starters returning along with ACC leading scorer Jules Spear, who has another season under her belt. That one sails out of bounds. 11th turnover for the Tar Heels. You talked about the Tar Heels bouncing back, really finding that sense of urgency. What stood out to you about what they've been able to apply in today's game?
Well, it was interesting because, we thought that McPherson would have a huge impact on the game because of the energy she's brought in the last few games. And then she gets in foul trouble, but everybody else has kind of stepped it up. I've been impressed, as I've said all along, with what Kelly has done today as far as facilitating. I think their post players have had what they would have as a above-average game. They've gone at Wake Forest inside. They've gotten on the boards. They've gotten points in the paint today. I think, one of the ways you get yourself going is to be strong in the paint.
Malu Chittenden checks in for Carolina. Reese Williams knocks it down. You talked about the Tar Heels stepping up at home. They have a tough one ahead as well, as their next 2 games are against ranked opponents. They'll first see Virginia Tech, and then they'll be followed up on February 26th against number 9 Duke.
And I think Tar Heel fans are excited that the missing pieces right now may be back for those 2 games to get them ready for the tournament. We watched Usby and Hodgson go through part of shoot around today and shoot the ball, and it feels like they are getting a lot closer to playing, and that will change the whole dynamic of this Tar Heel team.
I think it's so important too, Coach. We were talking about the production in numbers, but the leadership aspect and what they do, the communication in which she was winning as well. Littlefield graduating last year, that was one of their primary locker room kids as well, and so the fact that they have 2 players on the bench that really step up, very versatile players as well. Lisa Usby, one of those players that can do it all. Played all 5 positions in high school.
And roles change when you get into this too.
All right, well, every Thursday at 10 Eastern, right after our women's basketball doubleheader, the Nothing But Net crew will break down the night in the ACC with highlights and analysis of every women's game and look ahead at the best games on the schedule in the coming week. As coverage you can only get one place right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
And before we finish this game, I got to give a shout out to my girl Ivy Latta in the studio. Loved coaching her in DC. Made a big impact on our program. I hope she's having fun doing this TV gig too.
She's doing a great job.
I know she likes to talk.
Well, she has a lot to talk about because she's definitely left her mark on this game. You can't walk anywhere near Carmichael Arena and not see her face, and that's so deserving.
I was reflecting back, coming to watch her play in college today when I walked back in.
It was very interesting. You talked about the energy that Kayla McPherson comes into this ballgame with. Courtney Banghart said a lot like even the energy that you can see from Ivory Latta, the energy givers.
Yep, very much so. Upbeat, ready to roll. You can see the enthusiasm that she plays with.
Led the nation in scoring in 2019, 36 points per game, 17 ESPNW Classic as far as rankings. Oh, there's a foul on the play. This will reset the clock and go back to Wake. So both teams in the bonus as Deja Kelly. It's a nice round of applause from this crowd Great turnout for the Tar Heels today. Deja Kelly. 24 points.
This is always a great atmosphere in here. Getting a hug from her 2 missing teammates.
Probably whispering, when are you guys coming back again?
Exactly.
Scruggs now with 7. 4 for 6 from the free throw line on the day. And drains both. So less than a minute to play as Carolina just came out at half and really put some things together offensively after that 23-point second quarter. I think, too, just the challenge accepted from her team as another interception. Here's McPherson laying it up, building on the lead.
And Kennedy Todd-Williams, I thought today, isn't going to be the leading scorer, isn't going to be, the one you most notice, but she's done a bunch of little things today, especially defensively. She's had to guard Spear for long stretches of the game, which is a tall task in and of itself. But she's got double-figure scoring. She just had an assist on that. This is what Carolina's going to need going forward, have multiple players step up like that.
Carolina sitting at 18-9 now will move to 19-9, pick up their 10th win of the ACC. And this one will be dribbled out at the top of the key by Kayla McPherson. And that'll do it. Wake Forest drops to 0-9 on the road. Quick thought from you about how Carolina was able to actually bounce back and get this win.
Well, I think, they had a balance of moving the ball offensively. They came out with a very specific game plan in the third